Welcome back to the Raising Rock podcast. I'm Elise and I am your host. I'm not even doing an introduction today, you guys. We do not need an introduction. You all know her. You all love her. Mom, welcome to the show.
Mom is here.
Yay. This episode is a pinch me moment. I can't believe we're here. This is the end of season 1. We are doing a recap conclusion episode to mark the end of the year, to mark the end of our season 1. When we started the podcast back in May, I don't really think I had any concept of how long we would go, how many episodes we recorded. I think I probably thought, like, if I get to 15 episodes, surely that will be quite the accomplishment. And by the time this airs, I think we'll be pushing 30, if not over 30 episodes.
Yeah, it's been incredible. When you first told me you were going to do a podcast, I wanted to be supportive, and I was like, yeah, great, good. It wasn't my arena of things. I didn't understand podcasts like you do, and it's been a really wonderful thing.
Yeah, it really has. It's been an effective tool, if nothing else, in my life.
I think that's the thing. I think so much of it has been impactful in your life, in my life, regardless of the impact on other people. It's been so great.
Yeah, it really has. And that's always been the heart behind what we're doing, is we genuinely built this and created this out of a need for me raising my boys. And we just hope that others want to follow along in the process and find blessing and community and support through it. And so this podcast really has been such a blessing to me. All the people that we've spoken to, all the guests that we've had, I've learned so much. I've been challenged. I've applied a lot of the things that my guests have talked about in my own life and in my own home, and I've seen fruit from it. And I'm just so proud of season 1 and what we've accomplished and what God has allowed us to do through this. I can't believe we're here.
Yep. And it was a piece of what we wanted to do. We launched this whole Raising Rock thing with people talk about business plans. You start out and you have a plan, and we didn't have a plan.
No, I would not even say we didn't have a plan. We did not have a plan. There's no kind of that.
And that's not who we are. We're very planning people. And God has led our steps. We just felt this was something we were to do, and here we are, and God is blessing, and we're thrilled. It's not been without challenges and frustrations and discouragements for sure, but it's been wonderful.
I think, speaking of discouragements, there's just been something that's been on my heart lately. And I'll share it with the audience, and we'll just dig into it a little bit. And then I know you have something that'll be actually really exciting for us to look at in your lap here. So we'll get to that in a second. But we were studying in church on 2 Sundays ago, Psalm 74, I think is what it is. I'll pull it up. But basically it's not King David. It's Asaph, the head worship leader in Israel. And he's basically lamenting to God about all the people around him who are wicked and prospering, and really the jealousy and the envy that he has in his heart, and how it really almost caused him to walk away from the Lord, because he was watching all these people around him prosper and thrive. And he's sitting here, I'm obedient. Lord, I'm doing what you're asking me to do. I'm doing it with a willing and joyful heart, yet all these people around me are doing such amazing things, and they're bad people. Like, what is happening? And I'll pull up my notes and we'll dig into it a little bit. But what really jumped out at me and was such a place of conviction for me is our pastor was just talking a lot about, oftentimes it's not even those people prospering that you're having a hard time with. It's your heart. And like, why do you want those things? Why do you want what the wicked have? Why do you want the prosperity? Why is that so attractive to you? And then it's a reflection of really a heart issue. And it just got me thinking so much about what we're doing and the heart posture that we strive to have. And we're not always perfect. We strive to have the right heart posture. But it's so easy to look at what others are doing in this space, other podcasts for moms or other podcasts for Christian women or other Instagram pages with more followers and cuter Bible verses and cuter wallpaper quotes and all these things. And I'm certainly not saying that any of that's wicked. The context of that verse was talking about the wicked prospering. I'm not saying any of that is wicked. But if you peel the layers of the onion back and you really look at the message behind that of like, what is our heart posture?
When we started this, I think we had this vision, build it and they will come. And we were all excited. We had this book and we invested in making sure we had like a top-notch illustrator and we had a top-notch web designer, and we really wanted quality. And I think we just thought we're going to launch and everybody's just going to come. And not that it hasn't been good, but it's been a lot harder, I think, at least than we ever thought it would be, isn't it?
Oh, it's been so much harder. I love that you said, if we build it, surely they will come. Yeah.
To you who have come, thank you.
Yes, to you who have come, we are so thankful. And this is not meant to be a woe is me.
Oh,
we
no.
are, in fact, the heartbeat of this episode is going to be to talk about all the amazing things that the Lord has done.
Yep.
But it has been a refining, humbling process. And it has been one where I'm coming back to constantly, what is my heart posture? Why do I want this? Is this for my own glory? Is this to make me look good? Is this so that I can boast about all the things the Lord is doing in my life? Or is this truly a reflection of a heart full of gratitude for what the Lord is doing in my life, and a heart that wants to bring other women into a similar journey and walk through that with them? And so it's been a refining process, but I think it's really revealing to us that our heart posture has to always be in the right place. So I was wrong. It's not Psalm 74, it's Psalm 73. And the first half of the Psalm, he's just going on and on. They are not in trouble as other men, nor are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride serves as their necklace. Violence covers them like a garment. Their eyes bulge with abundance. They have more than their heart could wish. And he just goes on and on about how much these people are prospering. And he really, like, how does God know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who are always at ease. He's struggling with God. They're so ungodly. Like, why are they so successful? And why am I not? And then he pivots and he says, until I went into the sanctuary of God, then I understood their end. Surely you set them in slippery places. You cast them down to destruction. Oh, how they are brought to desolation as in a moment. They are utterly consumed with terrors as a dream when one awakes. So Lord, when you awake, you shall despise their image. And talks about ultimately the wicked don't ultimately prosper because there is judgment at the end. But then he goes into just this beautiful conversation with the Lord. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold me by my right hand. You will guide me with your counsel, and afterward receive me to your glory. Who have I in heaven but you? And there is none upon earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For indeed, those who are far from you shall perish. You have destroyed all those who desert you for harlotry. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord God, that I may declare all your works. And I've just been meditating so much on this. It was almost 2 weeks ago now that we went through this in church, and it's just really causing me to dig deep and figure out, do I walk with the Lord in that way? And is my heart posture such that I want these things for God's glory, not my own glory?
Well, I was having a conversation just yesterday with my mom and dad, Nana and Papa. And if everything we did, everything we've done in this whole thing, from the money we invested, pulled out of my retirement to do this, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be a great investment. It is a great investment, best investment I've ever made.
An investment spiritually, not an investment
not a
financially.
monetary windfall, but that's great. But I was talking to my mom and dad, and I was saying, which is better? A church of 10 people where you've got 10 people who have come to know the Lord, who are growing and serving God and spend eternity together, or a church of 10,000 people who are watered down, not really serving the Lord? What is a proper measurement of success? And I think of a text you got or a DM or whatever it is on Instagram on the podcast you had done on the romance novels, the destructive nature of those. And if you haven't listened to that information, you should, or if you know anybody that's involved in that. But that subject, if left untreated, untapped, undealt with in the life of a woman, has an end game, an end time on that is highly destructive. Could be the destruction of her family, could be the destruction of her marriage, could be the destruction of her salvation if that is just left unchecked. And this we've had several people that have contacted you on that have really been in bondage to that. And it really impacted them. If everything that we have done up to this point had no impact other than that right there, every dollar spent would be well worth it. And so it's caused us, I think we thought, oh, wow, we're going to get orders and we're going to have all this and we're going to have it's going to be great. We're going to have a hard time keeping up. And
we're going to have to hire people. We're going to have to get like a warehouse to like churn all these orders out.
We haven't had to hire anybody yet.
We have not had to hire anyone yet.
And again, we laugh at that, but I really believe God allowed it. It's almost been to the point of...
It's been his divine protection. I think we're realizing that if we had just launched the podcast, launched the website, launched all these orders, had the book coming out, all these things, we wouldn't have been able to keep up with this. And I have to remember and I know you and I have different approaches to all of this. You have different reasons. I have different reasons. We have one common goal, but we ultimately have different paths that have led us here. My reason for doing this was because I felt like I needed tools to disciple my children. And I needed support and I needed to build a community around me to help me in that journey of discipling my children. It is God's divine protection that we have not just exploded, because I'd feel pulled between, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I identify and primarily am a stay-at-home mom. This is just a little bit of like a side thing that I do to help equip me and create tools and all of that. If I suddenly was working all the time and down here fulfilling orders with you all the time and replying to emails and all these people that are just whatever, you fill in the blank, I'd be a fraud, because I am creating all of this to help me disciple my kids. But then if I'm so busy that I'm not discipling my kids, it's all fraudulent. And so I really do think it's been, for me in my life, that's how God is protecting me. I'm sure it looks different for you.
Yeah.
But
it's just the funny things of it. Anybody that would know me might say I'm a bit controlling. Would that be an unfair word?
I don't think you're controlling.
I control my environment. I'm an environment controller. I like my surroundings very well organized. My garage, hitherto had nothing in it. It had a polished floor, a couple built-in white cabinets that had everything perfectly aligned in it. And now my garage is like hats and books and boxes and packing materials and just endless. My upstairs in my house is this podcast.
So maybe the Lord is working on, maybe the divine protection is you not being such a control freak.
No, I'm talking about that. I'm saying this whole thing, I have not been able to, like, I like to manage money. Everything has to be really detailed and under control. And this has been everything but that. Just from the order, you come into my house and I've got shipping materials in my laundry room, and my upstairs landing area is this podcast studio with lights and cords and wires. And so if you knew me, in fact, my friend just came by. I just had lunch with her and she just walked in the door and she goes, "Oh, I want to see the podcast studio." And she walked in, she's like, "I am so proud of you. This is not you." So anyway, I think that's been something that God has done in me personally through this that's been really good. And I know one of the things we struggled with at the beginning is you were so concerned about doing this and being considered a fraud, that you're out there talking about parenting and mothering.
And the importance of women being home, discipling their children. Even if home doesn't mean not working, when you can be home and prioritize discipling your children.
And the boys haven't quite, I don't know what would be like. What would be ultimate rock status? What would be like the ultimate achievement in like the high, like Papa's the rock of all time.
Papa is the rock.
The rock. God is the ultimate rock, of course.
God is the rock of ages.
But anyway, I think about that, like the boys haven't quite attained. We've been doing this. It's been the thrust of everything we do for a year or two now. And they're still pebbles, maybe.
Little pebbles in the river. These little tiny little pebbles.
Little pebbles. But anyway, it's been a great journey. God has done really, I think, wonderful things in both of our lives. And I would not trade the experience yesterday. We had our book signing, Barnes and Noble. And I got up and I thought, how honored am I to be able to do this with my daughter? And I feel blessed. I feel thankful. I don't even know how we got here. I really don't know how we got here, because this was never a dream, an aspiration, a goal. It was
not on our bucket list.
No, it wasn't on it wasn't even on our further. It wasn't even out in the galaxy. It was just, I don't know. I don't know how we got here. But anyway, we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, should we look at the list? Tell them about the list.
Should. I have not revisited this list since, I wish we had the date on it.
I've got a few dates.
At least a year ago. But when we first started, and we should continue adding to that, because I think 10 years
have dropped off a bit.
10 years from now, I think we'll look back on this and be like, wow, God did some really cool stuff. So when we first started all of this, I would call my mom frequently with ideas, or she would call me with ideas. And I'd say, write that down somewhere, because I don't want to forget that God did that, or God showed up in this way. Write it down. We're going to want to revisit this. And so we're going to revisit it.
We haven't looked at this. I just literally hit print. I haven't been in this document for a long time. I think just interesting. The first entry, March 2024. Had a hard time with the boys, was praying that God would give me a tool, something to help. Rock literally dropped into my mind. I shared it that day with Elise and Scott. They liked it, but they were kind of like, oh, whatever, Mom. So that didn't go very far, but that was March of 24. I don't know if any of you that have read the book, there's little notes in it. There's a little song. Do you care to sing it?
I'm respectful and obedient, courageous and so kind. I choose to do what's right and true with honor every time. I'm patient and forgiving because I want to be a rock, a solid rock, and a rock.
Okay, so I am not any kind of a composer or anything. And literally that song, those words, everything just popped into my mind. So I noted that. Summer of 2024, you started using Rock with the boys. You wrote a blackboard in your house. Rock became the thing. You started singing the song. It started really impacting the boys.
Which I have not erased that blackboard. I just took a picture of it. It's up in our second story. It's decorated with some Christmas garland right now. I'll have to drop that into the episode so you guys can see it.
And it was late summer that I started working on the Fred and Stinky Bear book. You started working on it. And all of a sudden, they just dropped into your heart in the summer of 24, like, let's do this. I don't even know what let's do this is, but it's like, let's do this.
I was at the beach with my friend Marcy, who was at the book signing yesterday. Yep. And I think you had written a portion of the book, or he had written like the first chapter or something. And I pulled it out and I read it to her. And just more as, let's like just chit chat. And here's like what my mom's do. It was just with no intention of her being like, oh, that's actually really cool. And I read it to her and she's like, Elise, that's really good. You guys need to do something with that. She's like, I would read that to my kids. That's great. That was summer 2024.
Then you were talking to your stepmom, Trisha. We got it done. And then what do you do? And she said, I was just at a meeting with a woman that I think is into publishing of kids' books. And we didn't get a publisher, but she was more of an editor and just help us through the process. And turns out our first call with her, she was a Christian, she was a children's therapist, and she was very much into literature impacting children's lives, like not wanting.
And impacting them on a spiritual level. And understanding that literature and books and the concepts really penetrate kids' hearts, and needing to be conscientious of how books are approached because of how impactful they are on kids' lives.
So that was significant. The lady that did, Brooke, who did our branding, we looked far and wide for her. And the first conference we had with her, it turns out she had done the website design of like your favorite brand.
Yeah.
And we couldn't even believe it. It was like, okay, so that came together. Ty, tell him about your call with Ty out of the blue.
Oh my God. Did you write down what he said?
Yeah, it was like he had never called before. He called to offer support and everything. It was just so out of the blue.
Yeah. A good friend of our family, Ty Gaffney, he was Luke's baseball coach for several years when Luke was younger, and they've since moved to Nashville, but they're just wonderful. And they've been so hugely supportive of everything that we've done. They helped introduce me to the branding gal that we just mentioned. Yeah. And I don't think he's ever called me. I think we've maybe exchanged a couple text messages. I more have a relationship with his wife, and he just called me out of the blue I don't even really remember the details of the conversation. I have such a bad memory, but it was just to express enthusiasm and encouragement.
Yeah, we didn't really have anything. It was just, we were going to do this. And he just called to say like, do it. Like, we'll support you, do it.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. Read this one. Okay, we met this morning with Brooke regarding the branding for Raising Rock. Elise called later in the day saying, okay, this was December 3rd of 24.
Okay.
This is almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
Elise called later in the day saying she was having a really hard time struggling with telling anybody about Raising Rock. Like, you didn't even want to tell anybody what we were doing because you felt so inadequate in being a mom. Your youngest had been very mischievous, was struggling at school, and you just said it was embarrassing to even try to share the vision of Raising Rock at that point. About an hour later, you picked him up at school, You'd been praying with him that he would have a good day and not hit, and he did well, but had a mishap. Unlike other times, he was so sad by what he had done. You said that he cried and said Jesus was holding his tears in a jar and that he cared for him. And it was that little moment that was so impactful because we almost called it at that point. You're like, I can't do this. I see women at church and I go, what are you doing? You just kept saying, I can't even tell them what I'm doing.
I knew his Sunday school teacher, and I knew their teachers at co-op. I knew that everyone would hear I'm starting a parenting podcast and a parenting brand and be like, her? What? Of all the people. But again, I feel like that's been the beauty of all of this is it's never been about perfection. It's never been about, I have reached the status of motherhood. I am Moses coming down from the mountaintops. Here is all of the ways that you can also go and be a great mother. It is actually more from a place of brokenness more often than not, of realizing how incredibly flawed I am and how in need of a savior I am and how inadequate I really am and how undeserving I really am. And I don't say that in a woe is me, but truly, like, I am all of those things without Jesus. But because of Jesus's work in my life and the obedience in my life to follow him and try to parent in his ways, he is bringing beauty out of the ashes. He is helping write a better story than I could have ever written. And I'm just hoping that other women are blessed by it.
We've had challenges. We've had some really bright spots. I think Heidi St. John agreed to be on your podcast. And for those of you who haven't heard it, she's a big name. And I think, without going into the whole details of the story, I think it was a little bit miraculous. I think she somewhat randomly said yes.
Yeah, I got the sense when we were, because after she filmed with me, she invited me up to film with her, which is a whole nother pinch me moment.
Honor of a lifetime.
Experience. And in conversation, and again, I don't want to share anything that would be considered private, while I don't think it is. It led both of us to believe that they would have gotten thousands of inquiries, thousands of people, come speak at our event, come speak at our women's group, come on our podcast. And mine was like the only one that she said yes to. I don't know if that was in that day or in a time period, but
there was again, without going into detail, there was definitely a component that left me with the impression that it was a God thing.
Yeah.
That she agreed to do that. And she's been incredible and so encouraging. I can't even. We've had some things like that. I think you've probably told it, but I think one of the greatest stories that came from this for me was when Greg Steer was on, and the night you went to dinner after that. Tell the story. To me, that was like such an impactful thing.
And we went to Chili's? Yeah. So Greg Steer was on the podcast, and he was talking about different ways to practically walk out evangelism with your children. And he acknowledges not everyone has the gift of evangelism. It's hard. Everyone can do it, but it doesn't come just naturally for everyone. So he was just giving different tips and tricks of things that you could try and things that you could do. And he suggested when you go out to eat at a restaurant, when they bring your food to the table, say to the server, hey, we're going to pray for our food. We'd also love to pray for you. Is there anything that we can do to pray for you? And yeah, the next night we went to Chili's, and we've since done it, I don't know, maybe 10 times, maybe a little less than that. We've really tried to put it into practice and do it. But we went to Chili's. I told the kids about that. I said, hey guys, I learned this on the podcast. Like, I want to try it sometime. I didn't think they would remind me that night to try it, but they're like, ooh, are you going to try the thing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try the thing. So sure enough, the lady brings out my chili fajitas, and I say to her, hey, we're about to bless our food. Is there anything that we can do to pray for you? And yeah, she was just so sweet, and it definitely caught off guard. It was like, oh, wow, sure, yeah. And I had to think for a second what she wanted prayer for. And I just have a little running note on my phone. Every time we do that with someone, I jot down their name and I jot down their prayer request. And I want to be better about going back and revisiting those things and really praying for them and trying to go back to the restaurant and follow up with them and use that as a launching point to build a relationship. But it was so impactful. And I do think it it modeled it for my kids, which is really the goal, is they're not going to do something that I'm not first modeling for them.
And I go back to, if that's the only thing that it's come from the last year and a half of time and input and effort, wow, what a great thing. So there have been some, the girl that came to our book signing yesterday, this girl that showed up and we didn't know her, and she just said she wanted to come. She had been one of our original followers on Instagram and just came and just said it had been really encouraging in her life. And she was a total stranger, wasn't a friend, wasn't in anything. And so there's been these little snippets of things that have just been so amazing and so encouraging to us.
So thank you.
Yes.
To all of you who have listened to our episodes, who have followed us on Instagram, engaged with us, asked a question, whatever it is, we are truly so thankful. We have a lot planned for season 2 of the podcast. Some really exciting things coming up that I think will, again, help equip me in this journey that I'm on, and hopefully will help and equip you in the journey that you are on. At the time that this episode releases, it'll probably be late December-ish. And we will be taking December and January off to just really enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas and the New Year, and do some traveling and just have some time with family and the Lord. And we will pick up filming late January, early February, and start releasing again early March. So we'll keep you apprised on all the progress and what we're doing on Instagram and Facebook, and we're on Pinterest now. So some really fun stuff happening. So follow on all those channels for these updates, but we have a lot to come, a lot of really exciting things happening in season 2. And we just encourage you guys to take a break during the holidays too. It is such a special family time, especially with little ones. And it's so easy to get caught in the hustle and the bustle and the busy and the crazy, and forget to realize, this sounds so corny, but Jesus really is the reason for the season. And it's so easy to lose sight of that, or to just say that because it's catchy and we say it, but to not really let it penetrate our hearts. I just encourage you, while we are on a break, also take a break, enjoy your family, and enjoy the real reason for the season.
And I think I would like to just say, I know there's some friends of my mom and dad, some people from our church that are just faithful listeners. They listen to the podcast. I see them at church on Sunday and they're like, oh, I watch the podcast. And people that have just bought the book just to buy it. Maybe they don't even have grandkids or kids and whatnot, or people that have shared a kind word. And when somebody is trying to do something outside their comfort zone, they're stepping out, putting themselves out there and saying, okay, here I am. I'm going to try to do what I believe God wants me to do. And you encourage them. Don't ever stop doing that, because that word that you say at the right time might just be what that person needs to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep at it. So there have been some of your friends, like for photo shoots for the kids and things, they just say yes. And my dad, who's been on here, he just turned 90. And the older you get, opportunity doesn't come your way as much for big speaking gigs and all of that. And he once said, I will just say yes to whatever I'm asked. I will just say yes. And we've had a lot of people who have just said, yes, I'll be on the podcast. Yes, and wow, thank you. And so through this, I've been blessed by you. I love you very much. And I'm proud of you. You're amazing in all that you do. And I'm so thankful to so many people who've just said yes, So thank you.
I'm going to cut this before I start crying, because I'm going to cry. You made me emotional and I couldn't agree more. Thank you for all the yeses. Thank you for all the encouraging words. Thank you for following along. Thank you for loving us. We are just so blessed by this. And we just pray that God just blesses you for being here. And we just pray that this season blessed you, and that the coming work that we'll do together will bless you as well. We love you.